After a bizarre and vicious campaign fueled by a desperate need not to go to jail, Donald Trump has won the 2024 election. At least we know the mic stand's going to get a happy ending.
Trump won, Harris conceded, and now half of America is Googling how to move to Canada. But hold your moose, we might not need to jump ship just yet. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Yeah, Trump's back, but so is our determination to keep democracy kicking. VP Harris didn't just throw in the towel, she threw down the gauntlet. Stick around to see how her concession speech might just be the rallying cry America needs right now.
And I want to take a moment to congratulate Kamala Harris and Tim Walz on running an amazing 107-day campaign.
Remember when everyone said Trump was toast? Well, he's back like that weird smell in your fridge you just can't get rid of. Since 2020, Trump's been on a wild ride that'd make a roller coaster jealous. He lost the election, cried foul, and then spent 2 years insisting he was the real president while golfing and eating cheeseburgers. But old Donnie had more obstacles than a Ninja Warrior course. Legal troubles. He's got more of those than hair plugs. The January 6th committee was after him. He's got more indictments than hit songs, and there's that whole classified documents thing. Oh, and let's not forget how half his own party was giving him the cold shoulder like he'd shown up to Christmas dinner in a MAGA Speedo. So how did Trump turn it around? His campaign strategy was basically make America grumpy again. He riled up his base with more conspiracy theories than your uncle after 3 beers at Thanksgiving. His rallies were like a mix of a circus, a rock concert, and a really angry book club. And guess what? People ate it up like it was the last slice of pizza. Voter turnout was higher than a hippie at Woodstock. We saw shifts in demographics that had political scientists scratching their heads so hard they might need Rogaine. Young voters, suburban moms, even some longtime Democrats were jumping on the Trump train.
After a bizarre and vicious campaign fueled by a desperate need not to go to jail, Donald Trump has won the 2024 election. Almost like you rehearsed that. The deep shock and sense of loss is enormous.
So how did the Orange Wonder pull it off? Well, it turns out people were madder than a wet cat about inflation, crime, and the price of gas. Trump promised to fix it all faster than you can say kofef. He also got a boost from some unexpected allies. Turns out TikTok isn't just for dance videos and cat memes. But wait, folks, there's more to this story than Trump's comeback. It's like one of those TV shows where you think you know what's happening, but then bam, plot twist. Stick around, because we're about to dive into the whirlwind 107 days that had Kamala Harris running around like a caffeinated squirrel trying to save democracy. From VP to presidential Hail Mary in the blink of an eye, Kamala Harris went from sidekick to superhero faster than Clark Kent in a phone booth. But unlike Superman, she couldn't fly. Instead, she had to navigate a political minefield that would make even the most seasoned politicians sweat bullets.
I'm gonna miss that man. I'm gonna miss that good man.
When Biden suddenly dropped out, Harris found herself with the political equivalent of a due tomorrow assignment from hell. She had just 107 days to convince America she was the gal for the job. That's less time than it takes to potty train a stubborn toddler or grow a decent beard. Harris faced more challenges than a contestant on Survivor Washington Edition. With barely any time to build a proper campaign, she was like a chef trying to whip up a gourmet meal with nothing but a microwave and a can of Spam. Her approval ratings were lower than a limbo stick at a dwarf convention, matching Biden's not-so-stellar numbers. But our girl Kamala didn't throw in the towel. She hit the campaign trail harder than a caffeine-addicted squirrel, focusing on traditional Democratic bases and even trying to woo some disgruntled Republicans. Her message: Trump's coming, and he's bringing more drama than a telenovela marathon. Harris warned about threats to democracy and abortion rights, but her campaign was about as meaty as a vegan barbecue. She struggled to connect with voters on a deeper level, probably because she was moving faster than a politician's promises after Election Day. So why didn't Harris's message stick like gum on a hot sidewalk? Well, turns out Americans were grumpier than a cat in a bathtub about the state of things. They wanted change, and Harris's warnings about Trump didn't quite hit the spot. It's like trying to sell ice to Eskimos when what they really want is a beach vacation. In the end, Harris's sprint to the finish line looked more like a stumble, but give the lady credit. In her concession speech, she didn't just roll over like a submissive puppy. She declared, "I will never give up a fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations." Talk about going down swinging. But folks, this story isn't just about Harris's political Hail Mary. It's about something bigger, something that had Americans acting crazier than a squirrel at a nut factory. Stick around because we're about to dive into the mood swing that shook America harder than a magnitude 8 earthquake. So, America had a mood swing bigger than a hormonal teenager. But here's the kicker.
Who was running against him? According to Google Trends, search interest for "Did Joe Biden drop out?" spiked on election day. Not only was he reelected, but he did better in almost every demographic. One reason Trump might have exceeded his expectations.
What if everything we thought we knew about voter behavior just got tossed out the window, like last week's leftovers? Turns out change was the new black, and voters were ready to wear it like a fancy hat to the Kentucky Derby. Going into the election, Americans were grumpier than a cat forced to take a bath. They were sick and tired of the same old political nonsense, like a kid who's had one too many servings of Brussels sprouts. People wanted something different, even if that something different had orange skin and a weird hairdo. Now, here's where things get as weird as a $3 bill. The polls and predictions, they were about as accurate as a blindfolded archer. Everyone thought Harris would cruise to victory easier than sliding down a greased pole. But nope, Trump won, leaving pollsters scratching their heads harder than a monkey with fleas.
And in this democracy, the majority has spoken, and they said they don't care that much about democracy. So many of us wish this hadn't happened, but that is not for us to decide. This is a democracy.
And get this, some folks who were all about abortion rights still voted for Trump. It's like ordering a salad and then drowning it in bacon grease. Makes about as much sense as a screen door on a submarine, right? But that's just how nutty this election got. Even more mind-boggling, a whopping 53% of Americans think the presidency is too much for anyone over 75, yet they voted for a guy who's older than sliced bread. It's like complaining about your diet while ordering a triple cheeseburger. So what does all this mean for America's future? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because we're in for a wild ride. This voter mood swing is like a political earthquake, shaking things up more than a maraca in a washing machine. We might see more surprises than a Jack-in-the-Box factory.
This time, America knew exactly what they were getting, and they went hard for him anyway. But we can take comfort in knowing that we've been here before. We know what's coming.
Experts say this election marks a major shakeup in American politics. Trump winning back the White House after losing before? That's rarer than a unicorn sighting at a petting zoo. It shows that voters are playing by a whole new rule book, one that's as unpredictable as a game of Monopoly with a toddler. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. This voter mood swing might just be the kick in the pants America needs to wake up and smell the kofef. Maybe it'll get more people involved in politics, or at least make for some really entertaining TV. After all, who doesn't love a good political drama? Just when you thought Trump's win meant Democrats were as dead as his tax returns, plot twist. They're popping up like weeds in a carefully manicured Mar-a-Lago lawn. Let's dive into the silver linings that are giving Republicans more heartburn than a taco truck at a border wall. Turns out, while Trump was busy measuring the drapes for his second White House stint, Democrats were quietly racking up wins that'd make your head spin faster than Trump's Twitter feed. In state and local elections, the Dems showed they've still got some fight left in them. It's like they're the political equivalent of those inflatable punching bags. Knock them down, and they just bounce right back up. But here's the kicker. Millions of voters in 7 states said heck yes to protecting abortion rights. It's like they're playing political Jenga, and reproductive rights are the block they refuse to let fall. This shows that even in Trump's America, social issues are still driving voters to the polls faster than free beer at a college party. In New York, Democrats managed to flip 2 districts, proving that there are still pockets of blue resistance in this sea of MAGA red. It's like finding a vegetable in Trump's diet. Rare, but not impossible. Now, you might be thinking, but Trump won. How does this matter? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because these state-level wins could be the political equivalent of a wedgie for Trump's agenda. Experts say these Democratic strongholds could act as a counterbalance, potentially forcing Trump to play nice on certain issues. It's like having a hall monitor in the White House. Sure, Trump's in charge, but he might have to follow some rules. And let's not forget about good old Chuck Schumer. He's been bragging about how crucial Harris's tie-breaking votes have been for passing big deal legislation, like the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act. It's like Harris has been the secret sauce in the Senate's legislative burger. So what does all this mean for Trump's second term? Well, it looks like he might have to deal with more resistance than a toddler at bedtime. These Democratic wins could act as speed bumps on Trump's road to making America great again. In the words of Hakeem Jeffries, the path to a Democratic majority in the House is through those nail-biter races. It's like political whack-a-mole. Every time Trump thinks he's got things under control, another Democratic challenge pops up. So, where do we go from here? Buckle up, folks. This political roller coaster isn't slowing down anytime soon. Democracy might have a few bruises, but it's still kicking, and it looks like it's ready for round 2 with the Trumpsters. So, folks, America's political roller coaster is still zooming along, and it's got more twists and turns than Trump's explanations for his tax returns. But here's the thing, we can't just sit back and watch the show. It's time to grab our popcorn and our voter registration cards because this drama needs some audience participation. Stay informed, stay engaged, and maybe invest in a political drama bingo card. You never know when KFF might make a comeback. And remember, democracy is like that old punching bag in your garage. It might get knocked around a bit, but it always bounces back. Sure, things might look a bit gloomy now, but hey, at least we're not living in a season of The Apprentice White House edition. So let's keep our chins up and our eyes on the prize. After all, in this political circus, we're not just the audience, we're the ringmasters.